Good evening and welcome to December 9th, 2019 Valley View School District Board Meeting. Mr. Berduris, would you please lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Pero, could you please read the affirmation of the Board of Education mission statement?
Our mission is to empower all learners to be college, career, and life ready, and to develop, grow, and achieve as productive citizens.
Dr. Mitchum, the agenda, please.
Yes, President Pro Tem Zach, I'd like to ask that the board approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mr. Griffith-Zaffe, the Treasurer's Report.
Treasurer's monthly report for November 2019 includes your usual variety of reports, including the interim obligation payments for the month of November, totaling $4,546,828.25 for action this evening.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Member Berduris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes.
Treasurer's Action Report 5.2 is the schedule of bills for the month of December. We've got 6 funds representing $4,709,336.56, also for action.
So moved.
Motion, second. Discussion, questions? Seeing none, hearing none, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Berduris? Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes.
We've got 5.3 summary of investments, the property taxes received, 5.4, state funding update, 5.5, as well as the school trust account activity for October for 5.6. If you've got any questions, otherwise they are for information only.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Griffith-Zaffe. Consent items, Dr. Mitchum.
Yes, President Pro Tem Zach, I'd like to ask that the board approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.6, 6.1 board meeting minutes 11/12/19, 6.2 approval of executive session minutes 11/12/19, 6.3 gifts to Irene King Elementary School, Oakview Elementary School, Valley View Early Childhood Center, and Romeoville High School, 6.4 trips for Bolingbrook High School and Romeoville High School, 6.5 intergovernmental agreement with Plainfield School District 202, and 6.6 fiscal year 2018-2019 audit.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Berduris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes. Student and staff recognition. 7.1.
First up, we have Illinois High School Football Coaches Association All-State with Coach John Ivelo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce to you one of my players, a young man I've known for 4 years now. He's a 4-year varsity player, was recently selected to the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association All-State Team for Class 8A. It's a group of coaches that are selected. I'm not even sure how we get selected, actually, but it's a panel of coaches that vote on the best players in the state of Illinois, and Antonio was thought of that favorably by the panel to be selected to the All-State team. Again, Tony averaged several yards per carry. I think it was about 6 yards per carry on his rushing yards, had about 700 yards rushing, about 600 yards receiving, various punt returns, kick returns. To give you an idea, a punt return, I think we've had maybe one in the last 18 years before Tony's year this year, and I think he had 3 or 4 this year. And we also had about one kickoff return in the last 18 years prior to this year, and Tony got himself one of those too. So he's really established himself as a very special young athlete, and he's got a couple scholarship offers, and we'll see where he ends up. It's coming up very rapidly, and I would look forward to coming back in a couple weeks or a month and sharing with you where he decides to go. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Antonio King. Your certificate, and walk down the line.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Pilliards. Where are we at?
First up would be Jane Addams Middle School with Principal Teresa Polson. And representing the Board of Education would be Secretary Debbie Sikora.
Good evening, members of the board, members of senior leadership, Dr. Mitchum, and members of the community. It is with honor Ms. Polson and I recognize Ms. Yvette De La Vega, Ms. Maria Morales, and Ms. Zuli Sanchez as pillars of Valley View. The dynamic trio are all leaders at Jane Addams as they serve the Mustang family with full commitment. When you enter the doors at Jane Addams, you feel welcomed into the family, and it is because of the atmosphere that these ladies create. Whenever students, staff, or families need, they are here to support. They are the backbone that helps Jane Addams be exemplary. They serve as role models for other professionals with their commitment, their positivity, and their noteworthy work ethic. Everyone that's a part of Jane Addams' family has only positive things to say about the front office staff. Staff and students describe them as intuitive, accommodating, kind, helpful, engaging, amazing, dynamic, dependable, magnificent, exceptional, funny, and versatile. Additionally, these three go above and beyond their job expectations. They are often supporting students after hours, helping translate for families, and reaching out to students and families in need, and much, much more. Thank you, Ms. De La Vega, Ms. Morales, and Ms. Sanchez for your continued dedication and support to our students and families.
Next, we have Nutrition Services Department, represented by Director Megan Gibbons, with member Liz Campbell representing the Board of Education.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Mitchum, senior leadership, staff, and community. On behalf of the Valley View Nutrition Services Department, it is my pleasure to present Kim Donato with the VVSD Pillar Award. Kim is an incredibly talented and valuable kitchen manager that has been part of the nutrition department since 2002. Over the years, she has moved up the ranks to managing our second highest volume kitchen in the district. Her team of 11 employees produce 1,700 meals per day and over 300,000 meals annually. Kim holds a unique position out of our 18 kitchen managers because she oversees the operation of 3 separate schools, Lukanczyk Middle School, Scoff Elementary, and she satellites food to our tiniest students at the Early Childhood Center. Each site provides its own set of challenges, but Kim does it with ease. This is no surprise because Kim routinely strengthens her knowledge and skills by attending school nutrition conferences and other professional development opportunities. She is always open to new ideas or methods to help provide our customers and our staff with better outcomes. In addition to being an incredible manager, Kim and her team believe in giving back. Each holiday season, the entire kitchen adopt a family in need and provide them with gifts. Beyond just serving breakfast and lunch, Kim tries to create a really fun and educational cafeteria. Last year, Lukanzik hosted a big event with Amazon to help promote and educate children about breakfast. Students received tons of Amazon prizes, and the cafeteria even received a grab-and-go breakfast kiosk. Kim, I'd like to thank you for all that you do for VVSD students and staff, and congratulate you on becoming a VVSD Pillar Award.
Our last Pillar Award is from the STEP program, represented by Principal Melanie Phelan, and representing the Board of Education, Member James Boduris.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Mitchum, senior leadership, and community members. It is with great honor that I present Dominic Pizzuto and Dale Duplessis with the Valley View Pillar of Excellence Award. Dom and Dale have played integral roles at the STEP campus for the past several years. Dom with being a job coach, peer professional, subbing at the last minute or long-term leaves. Dale with taking long-term leaves, being flexible with her time with us, they have been there through thick and thin to support our students. They are consistent with their expectations in the classroom, and they speak with kindness to their students, even in difficult situations. Here are what some of our staff members have shared about them. It isn't easy to leave a classroom in someone else's hands and control while you are out on leave, but knowing Dom was my guest teacher put my mind at ease. His attention to detail and being student-centered are a few of his great qualities. He is consistently coming up with new materials or ways to get students engaged. Dale always puts students first. She does everything she can to make learning experiences meaningful while utilizing a variety of resources to keep students engaged. She has developed wonderful relationships with the students she's currently working with and gives it her all in everything she does here at STEP. Dale has a heart of gold, so giving, always wants to do her best and goes above and beyond for the students. She works many hours to plan new lessons that will interest the students and meet their needs. Dom is a master of developing lessons. He creates systems that allow students with severe needs to excel. He has a drive to improve program-wide issues. He is organized, a great planner, and is sensitive to everyone's needs. He is a powerful advocate for students. Dale has an excellent classroom management. She has innovative lessons for students and meaningful CBI trips. She cares a lot about the students. At times, I feel that I can learn from her passion and drive to help students. She never quits on a student and puts others before herself. She has a challenging group this year, and they all love and respect her. The students are lucky to have her. Dom wants to do his best to make sure experiences are meaningful for all the students in the class. He is always aware of what his students' goals are and tries to incorporate those into his daily lessons. Dom has an extensive knowledge working with students with special needs. He does a great job breaking down lessons into simple steps the students can understand. He has so much to offer this program, it amazes me. Dale is very proactive and conscientious about her work and her lessons. She is always willing to learn new things and ask questions for clarifications when needed. She builds rapport with the students and sets high expectations for them. She uses learning experiences as life lessons for the students. Congratulations, Dom and Dale.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Congratulations.
Liaison report. Bolingbrook or Romeoville? Who would like to lead off tonight? Romeoville.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Hamilton.
And I'm Jeremiah Teodoro. Thank you for having us at your board meeting this evening.
We are excited that all of our winter sports are up and running. We are looking forward to watching our winter athletes compete. Additionally, we have winter band and choir concerts coming up. Our magical singers had a fabulous magical dinner yesterday, and we would like to congratulate them on an outstanding performance. Thank you to Mr. Zach, Mrs. Paro, Mrs. Campbell, Mr. Herder, and Mrs. Kinder for attending our magical dinner.
One of our favorite traditions at RHS is hosting appreciation breakfast for all our staff members. On the Tuesday before finals, we welcome all our staff for a fun-filled morning and with a breakfast and holiday music. We also have handwritten, personalized holiday cards for each staff member. Many staff members tell us this is their most treasured traditions, and you can often see holiday cards hanging up in the teacher's classroom and offices for the entire year.
Finally, we would like to offer a suggestion for the school board. The video shown before each board meeting is a tad outdated. We would love to see this video updated each year to represent the current student and staff populations. Additionally, with the outstanding music programs housed in each high school building, we believe the music could come from one of our or both of our schools. Maybe one year RHS could give the background music, and the next could be BHS provides the music. We hope you will consider this idea.
We wish you a wonderful holiday break, and we'll see you 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds like their idea is a really good idea, so I think we should look into that. Next, we have Bolingbrook up.
Hi, good evening, Valley View community. I'm Kai and I'm a freshman at BHS. Many great events have been going on in BHS lately, and many significant things are to come in the future. This past weekend, the Madrigals of Bolingbrook had a wonderful night full of singing and laughter at Ashton Place and the BHS Madrigal Dinner. Recently, our school has been making great athletic strides. For example, the football team has made it to state quarterfinals, and our wrestling team also just beat two schools that we haven't beaten in over 10 years. On the same topic of winning streaks, not too long ago, a BHS chess team member named Albert Hoon just won all 4 matches of a chess tournament that he competed in. NHS is also having tutoring sessions on the 16th and 17th for upcoming final exams, which ties directly into what my fellow BHS student liaison, Tanu, will use to commence into our main topic tonight. Thank you, and now Tanu will speak.
Thank you, Kai. Good evening, honorable board, staff, community members, and fellow liaisons. My name is Tanu Oalabi, and I am a junior at BHS. This evening, we bring to you a very pressing matter. If the correct course of action is undertaken, then our students will be able to live up to their full, true potential. A survey was recently sent out, and a sample size of our student body was asked questions such as, how stressful are finals for you, and would you like finals to be weighted less? For the first question, every single person answered above a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 on how stressed they are about finals. For the second question, 60% of the students answered yes, finals should be weighed less. Many of the students then went about explaining that the magnitude of the work that they must complete for finals, as well as the impact of finals, was an immense amount of pressure on them. These students are feeling intimidated by finals, and they need a solution, especially those who have testing anxiety. If there is no solution, the mental and physical health of our students will suffer. Now, please listen closely with an open mind, because although we are young as liaisons, we are the future, and we have wisdom beyond what the eye can see. And although Simran, the other liaison, is not here tonight, I would like to present some of the important points that she brought up. In terms of possible solutions, it is important to keep in mind that school values have to keep up with corporate policies. From the survey, it can be concluded that a student's success should not be measured by a single test that is heavily weighted. Finals should have their weight reduced, because the reality of the situation is that finals do not take your personal growth into account, nor does it truly measure everything you've learned over the semester. Adding to this point, AP students are now registered for their AP test when they register for school at the beginning of the year. This means students are already committed to taking these exams. Because of this, AP students should not only be exempted from second semester finals, but first semester finals as well. If you would like to hear more about this plan of action, please contact our principal, Dr. Pascavage. And I would like to present Kai again.
Tonight, I will also be covering for Destiny, as she was not available to come tonight. She wanted to say that being a senior at BHS and having taken multiple AP/honors courses, I can honestly say that finals week is the most pressing time. Working so hard all semester to make sure my grades are at a good standing just to sit for a test that can drop from a 90 to a C. I see the hard work my student body puts into academics, and it is unfair to a lot of them for a single test to discredit their semester long of work. Although finals month can be a trying time, we truly do have an amazing accepting school. We embrace our diversity, unlike in no way other schools in our state possibly could. Our Hispanic Heritage Month was a month-long celebration of our Hispanic student body and educated our entire school in something bigger than us. The Black History Month committee also had 50+ members attending our last meeting. This gives us the opportunity to do something that will not only uplift our school, but also our community. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you would take our suggestions into serious consideration. Lastly, any questions?
No, but thank you for giving those suggestions. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent action reports. Dr. Mitch, audience participation. Is there anyone that would like to address the board? If so, please state your name, and remember, due to time restraints, you have 5 minutes. Seeing none? Superintendent action reports. Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, President Pro Tem Zach, I'd like the board to approve student due process cases A through C as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Member Perro?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes. Action reports, Ms. Kinder.
Yes, sir. Action Report 11.1 is seeking the board's approval on the high school summer school program for 2020. This includes the general high school program and the driver education program. The details are outlined in the action report. Upon the board's approval, we would disseminate this information to students and to parents and ensure that students were made aware of the opportunities to take advantage of this opportunity to recover credit and or accelerate the earning of credits. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Motion? Motion, second. Any discussion or questions?
Who seconded that?
Wait, we need a second.
Second.
JT second.
Oh, okay.
Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes.
Okay, 11.2. We are seeking approval of the Board of Education meeting schedule for the 2020-2021 school year. This was presented at the last board meeting for informational purposes. I'd like to note that special meetings for business or personnel matters could be added if needed.
We have a motion, a second. Do we have any discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes.
Okay. Action Report 11.3, we are seeking approval of Board Policy 7235 with revisions. Proposed for action are the necessary revisions to this policy: isolated timeout and physical restraint, hereby renamed timeout and physical restraint, Policy 7235. Effective November 20th, 2019, the Illinois State Board of Education issued emergency regulations effective for 150 days on the use of timeout and physical restraint. Adjustments are being proposed to our current policy to ensure the district is in alignment with the emergency regulations. This has been reviewed by our legal counsel that services matters related to special education, and this would be subject to review by the board attorney as well.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes,
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes.
I'd like to thank whoever did this, where they struck out what was there before, so we could see what had actually changed. So if that was you, thank you very much.
I did not personally do that, but that at the request of the board, we will be providing the red line copy in the administrative area so that you can see that. It'll make it easier to understand. And then of anything of note, we will include that description on the cover page, and hopefully that's helpful.
Action report, Mr. Gerzafi.
Action Report 12.1 is a resolution adopting the 2019 tax levy. We are recommending approval of the levy as it's presented back in November. There's been no changes to what was presented. The tax cap limitation will limit our tax increase to existing property owners to the consumer price index or 5%, whichever is less. In the case of the 2019 levy, that cap will be set at 1.9%. The levy being requested is $155,148,334, which represents a 2.42% increase over last year's actual extension. The reason for the increase is the inclusion of the debt service levy, which is set by prior board action. That levy amount is $37,100,000, which will service all of the outstanding debt for the district for fiscal year 2021. That brings our total levy to $192,248,334. Stepping you through some of the exhibits that will support the levy, we are anticipating just over $100 million of new property growth valuation, setting the valuation, equalized assessed valuation at $2,677,000, or an increase of 3.89%. That's the lowest increase we've had in property values since 2015. 5-year average is just under 5%. 10-year average is negative 0.39, and that represents those dark years where the property values were severely depressed throughout the country, and so it's nice to at least see us on the positive side of that. Best guess as to what we'll actually receive in the levy, anticipate taxes to be just a shade over the CPI of 1.9, all in 1.92. Tax rate is estimated at $7.16. That's the lowest tax rate we've had since before 2013. So that's good news on that front. New property values estimated at just at $6 million even. Again, a slowdown in new properties. We haven't seen a figure that small since, again, 2013, where we had $6.5 million. Again, I mentioned the CPI, Consumer Price Index, at 1.9%. Last 2 years previous, 2.1%. The 5-year average is 1.5%. So for 2019, we don't have that final month yet. December is not set. We're probably anywhere between 1.8, 2.1. So not a dramatic change in CPI year over year. Some of the property data, we've got just 79% of the property lies in DuPage Township, 21% in Lockport Township. Properties comprised 58% is residential, 27% is industrial, and 14% is commercial. Final fact this evening, taxes as a percentage of all revenue, we're just under 65%. So not quite 2/3 of our revenue is generated from property taxes, which is a significant amount. It's unfortunate, again, how schools are funded in the state. We're probably on the low end compared to maybe some of the surrounding counties. But again, it's still a significant amount of money in terms of how the school district is funded within the state. With that, again, I am recommending that we adopt resolution number 2007, adopting the 2019 tax levy as presented.
We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes.
If I could, just one more comment on the tax levy, I'm sorry. The governor has assembled a task force to explore property tax relief within the state. There are 7 subcommittees. They are tasked with presenting a report to the legislature with a December 31st deadline. I know several of the committees have already met, so it's to be seen if anything will come of this. I know a lot of the legislators have said, don't even bring us your progressive income tax without some sort of trade, if you will, in terms of property tax relief. So we might see some movement in that area. It's been discussed over the last handful of years. There's been nothing significant in terms of real property tax relief. Last year, we did apply for a property tax relief grant. We were not successful. I have applied again this year. It's about $14.8 million. We're 82nd on the list. I got to believe those districts that are ahead of us would also apply for that. But again, it'd be great to get at least some relief that we could pass on to our community. So again, just something to keep an eye on. I'm sure President Quigley would have some additional insight into that. But again, it's to be seen whether anything will come of that. But I think if it seems the time is now, there seems to be a genuine interest in providing property tax relief, coupled with some sort of tax revision, income tax revision here in the state. Thanks.
Thank you, Gary. Action report, Human Resources, Dr. Nash.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Zach. This evening, Action Report 13.1 is our consolidated action report for certified and classified personnel. This evening, we're seeking the approval of 16 items for certified staff, 30 items for classified personnel, 1 item for classified administrative personnel, and 1 item for certified administrative personnel.
So moved.
I have a motion, a second. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Member Badouris?
I'm going to vote no, and I'm going to keep voting no until I see the numbers in which we propose and the steps for the new hires and the staff. Any proposal for any administrative hire, I want to see the salaries with the previous numbers. So until I start seeing, and I want an explanation for it, so until I see that, I'm going to keep voting no on these items.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes, with our evaluations coming.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes. And I have to agree with Mrs. Cora and Mr. Badouris on some of the issues that they've brought up and seeing it before it comes to a vote.
Before I go on to Action Report 13.2, I would like to ask that Mr. Bob Pinciak come to the podium. He was approved in the Consolidated Action Report. He will be named the new principal of Pioneer Elementary School for the 2020-2021 school year, replacing Mrs. Carmen Killingsworth, who is retiring at the end of this year. Bob, I'll allow you to address the board.
Thank you, Dr. Nash. Good evening, Dr. Mitchum, Senior Leadership, Board of Education, and community members. First of all, I want to thank the Board of Education and senior leadership for approving me to be the next principal at Pioneer. This is an amazing opportunity. I would like to start by saying a few words about Oakview. Over the past 10 years, I have called Oakview home and have been able to work with talented people like staff, students, and parents. My message to Oakview is that the staff is resilient, hardworking, problem solvers, and student-centered. It is so nice to have called Oakview home. To the Pioneer family, I am very humbled by the opportunity to serve you as principal. I have heard feedback about Pioneer, and it is very encouraging that we will be working with one another soon. A transition plan is in the works as we develop one between the Pioneer community, district, Carmen, and myself. We are going to accomplish some great things together. Thank you again to everyone for this opportunity to continue to serve Valley View.
Action Report 13.2. This evening is a resolution authorizing the dismissal of educational support personnel employees for reason other than reduction in force.
So move.
We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or discussions? Seeing none, hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Perro?
Yes.
Member Badouris? Member Campbell?
Yes.
Secretary Sikora?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Zach?
Yes. Superintendent Information Report, 14.1.
I have that this evening.
Mr.
Before you
Kuzaki.
is a revised intergovernmental agreement with the Bolingbrook Park District. This agreement was last revised back in 2014. Specifically, it addresses language regarding the Park District's use of our facilities related to specific start and end times on days of the week at our elementary schools, and the incorporation of specific use of Bolingbrook High School. We've had several meetings over the last many months to try to come to some agreement as to what should be incorporated in this revision. And so it should be in your packet highlighted for you to see on page 2 primarily, are most of the changes. I think coupled with this would be the need to revisit our facility use agreement as it relates to the use of our sites, particularly when charges are involved. And so this will probably come back to you in conjunction with our facility use agreement update. We just wanted to get it in front of you, so if you had any questions or comments. A couple of you reached out to me and had some questions, and I appreciate those. And so again, this won't be coming back to you at our very next meeting, but it will be coming to you in the near future.
$14.2, activity buses.
We have had several requests coming out of both high schools for the use or lease of activity buses. Many years ago, we had activity buses for use by the, dare I say, smaller sports at each high school, primarily golf, bowling, and tennis. These activities are primarily have different start times occurring right in the middle of dismissal at the middle and elementary school. So it's very difficult to get buses to shuttle these athletes to their contests when we have these conflicts. We didn't feel they were cost effective at the time. It's been several years. Both of the ADs at each high school, respective high school, have asked for us to consider re-implementing activity buses. And so I've worked with our Director of Transportation, Dave Richards, to kind of assess whether it would be a cost effective to revisit this implementation of the activity buses. We feel it would, certainly with the shortage of drivers that we're experiencing now, along with the expense of the buses and the offset from having staff drive the buses on occasion. We feel that we can make this cost effective. I think the biggest thing really is the implementation of a training program. I think that was missing the last time we had these buses in the district. And so we feel that with a training program and a check-in, check-out of each of the activity buses, we can implement these in a cost-effective fashion. So we'd like to bring this back for your consideration of approval. We'd have 2 buses at each school. These would be 14-passenger buses, including the driver. They would not need to be have commercial driver's licenses or CDLs, which is obviously a large benefit of having the buses. And so I don't know if you have any other questions.
I do have a question.
Yep.
Are we assuming that the coaches are going to be driving the buses?
That's correct.
Are we then going to be paying our coaches more to drive those buses?
We would not.
Why? To me, it's a big responsibility. Having been a coach, I'd like to sit in that bus and having somebody else drive me and not the responsibility of those children and me driving. So to me, if a coach is taking on that responsibility, there should be some compensation for them taking on that responsibility. That's just my opinion.
I hadn't thought about that, to be honest. I think it's worth consideration, and so let us noodle that around and maybe factor it into this proposal. And so the lease wouldn't go live until July 1st, so we've got some time to gather some feedback on that and bring it back to you with that consideration being accounted for. Sure. Any other questions?
Okay. 14.3, the Investment Information Report. The investment report is an annual report prepared for the board by Joanne Borg, our esteemed treasurer and director of accounting. It lists out all of our investments as you see there on the exhibit. Quickly, it's got a book value, which is the cost of the investment, as well as a market value, which includes all accrued interest earned to date. The benchmark for most of the investments there are the Standard & Poor's Government Index Pool as of the end of September. The yields there are gross, not net of fees. In terms of an economic update, the Federal Reserve began decreasing short-term rates in July and continued to cut rates 2 more times, including the most recent decrease in October. The yields presented for investments have been decreasing, as have yields on liquid investments. However, the rate cuts have presented a favorable opportunity to refinance long-term debt, as we did last month, resulting in net present value savings of $9.4 million. Cash flow, liquidity, matching maturity rates with expected expenditures, diversification, permissible investments are all the primary factors when considering investing district funds. Certificates of deposit are insured by the FDIC up to $250,000 each. Certificates of deposit greater than $250,000 are collateralized with Federal Home Loan Bank letters of credit, government securities, and third-party insurance. The chart on the final page there lists the interest earnings for 2019, a little under $2.5 million, $2,483,000, which is a considerable increase over 2018, where we only had $982,000 of interest income. As a percentage of revenue, it's still a very, very small amount, 0.84, less than 1% of our revenue is interest earnings, but still a nice jump from the year prior. And so, again, it's a nice report. It kind of gives you a snapshot summary of where our money is invested. It is required per our investment policy, and again, I can't thank Joanne enough for pulling this together as she does annually. She does a phenomenal job of making sure that our assets are covered, collateralized, not at risk, not about chasing rate, but just about making sure they're safe and liquid. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Joanne. 14.4, high school health textbook. Ms. Kinder.
Yes, sir. I'd like to invite Director of CTE, Tammy Kahn, to come to the podium just to briefly make a few comments on behalf of the health educators who are bringing forth the proposal this evening. So, Tammy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you some of the highlights for the high school textbooks, health textbooks. I had the pleasure of working with all of the high school health teachers on the team that we went through, and we followed the textbook adoption laid out, the plan for textbook adoptions laid out by the Strategy 1 committee. And we were able to map new standards and state mandates into meaningful units of instruction that build on each other to encourage student mastery. After reviewing 3 different resources, the team chose the Goodhart-Wilcox book, Comprehensive Health. And the main reason behind that is it is The way that it addresses mental and emotional wellness and their importance to overall health and well-being was extremely important to our health teachers. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Tammy. The additional details are laid out in the information report, and this includes the funding source and cost, as well as the implementation plan. And I do want to mention that this does provide a technology resource for our students as well, so that they can access that on their one-to-one device.
Okay, thank you. 14.5, job descriptions. Dr. Nash.
Thank you. Information report 14.5 is a review of 4 job descriptions. 3 of the job descriptions that are listed there were last reviewed in 2009 and 2010, and so we have updated them accordingly for you to review. The 4th one is for a task force guest teacher. This would be for a new position that we are hoping to develop in the district. It would essentially be a guest teacher that would be guaranteed 180 days of work at one particular site, determined by fill rates that are established in the district. So what percentage of their guest teacher openings are being filled on a regular basis. So we're hoping to put this position in place in the very near future with your approval, so that we can take another step in ensuring that we have a qualified guest teacher in front of our students on a daily basis when our teachers have to be absent.
I have a question. I know I'd asked you some questions earlier today as well, but so there's going to be one for each. I mean, you're not using one person for multiple schools. If somebody gets this job, they'll be at one school.
That is correct. That would be the intention, is that they would be hired for one particular school, and if it just so happens that every single position has been filled that day by a guest teacher, we would deploy that person to another building so that we would be able to utilize them elsewhere. But our hope is to have them at one sort of home base.
And how many of these positions do you think you're going to fill?
We'd like to start with 8 to begin with, but we'll see how that plays out, primarily at our elementary buildings, if at all possible, because it's a little bit more difficult to fill on a period-by-period basis at elementary than it is with middle school and high school. But we would like to, if this goes well, expand this opportunity as time goes on.
Okay, that brings us to Information Report 14.6. I'd like to invite Executive Director of 612 Education, Adam Herder, and Executive Director of Pre-K 5 for Dr. Jill Choukalis up to the podium. Tonight we are presenting a brief update on Strategic Plan Goal 3, specifically focused on continuous improvement. Our Goal 3 of our strategic plan encompasses really 2 main areas, and that is a high impact workforce and also creating a culture of continuous improvement. So tonight we're going to focus on the continuous improvement aspect. Last month we highlighted some of the academic data through the school report card, and then if you advance to the next slide, you'll see upcoming progress updates that will be coming forth in January and February as well. So tonight, Jill and Adam are going to just give us a little bit of an overview of some of the accomplishments of this strategy of the work, and then we also have 2 school spotlights that I want to briefly share with you where the work is really, truly happening. So we have some great things to share with you this evening. So I'll let Jill begin.
Okay, I'm going to start by highlighting 3 important aspects of the work of Goal 3. Our continuous improvement process, our student-focused coaching, and then our data system to provide priority information across the entire system. We'd like to first start by celebrating the coherence and alignment in our goals to increase student learning at the district level as well as at all 21 schools. We also have over 300 staff members that are engaged in leading the continuous improvement work in the buildings, as well as hundreds more that are being supported by the work and engaged at the team and classroom level. For student-focused coaching, we have a vision across our entire district to provide student-focused coaching supports to all. We also have student outcome data as well as teacher voice data that indicates that student-focused coaching has had an impact on our student growth and achievement, as well as our educators, a change in their instructional practice.
And the third area that Jill mentioned was around our accomplishments in our data system. So you can imagine the level of continuous improvement work with hundreds of staff members, every school having a goal that they're working towards, the amount of data that we need, and the slide listed here, it's not just growth and achievement data for student outcomes, but it's things like attendance, behavioral supports, voice from teachers, voice from students that we gather, voice from parents, putting all of that data into a system so that it's easily accessible by the teams doing the work. And that's been a lot of the work that has been accomplished already by the Goal 3 team. When we look at those three areas that we highlighted in terms of accomplishments, we hold ourselves to a high standard in terms of being able to show evidence of success. So we can tell you, we did all this work, all these things are happening, but this slide is meant to highlight a few of the data points that we believe shows our short-term success that we can build on going long-term. One piece in terms of our district-wide continuous improvement process, all district staff were recently surveyed on a variety of topics. One of those questions involved their understanding and their belief that their leaders were communicating what the focused goals were at their school. And those questions, 87% of the staff answered in the positive, that they felt that their leaders, so the administrators at our buildings, were communicating with clarity what those focus goals are, and that those educators felt like they understood their role in helping the school achieve those goals for students and families. So that 87% number, this is the first time we've asked that question. So that sets an excellent baseline for us, not only to celebrate, but as we get more complicated and sophisticated in the work, we will look to maintain that same level of understanding. And obviously, our goal would be 100% eventually to continue to improve. In terms of the student-focused coaching supports for educators, we also want to listen to educators on how they feel feedback and coaching information is coming to them from leaders in the district. We had a 5% increase over last year of staff members answering in the positive, that they felt supported by the feedback and coaching that they're receiving. We do believe that that's connected to the efforts that have been done district-wide in terms of student-focused coaching supports for teachers, as well as at all levels. We track, especially in elementary school where we've had coaching supports for educators, we track growth data in terms of student outcomes for teachers who have received coaching supports, and that data indicates that those students' outcomes happen to be higher. So we like to sort of connect all the dots in that process to show that not only do educators feel the coaching is valuable, but it is translating into increased student learning. And then finally, the data and assessment team has sought a lot of feedback from educators and administrators about their data needs in this continuous improvement process, and have been tracking the usage of a lot of the different data tools that we've spoken to this board about in the past, specifically the Infinite Campus Student Information System, Mastery Manager, which tracks assessment data that teachers use, and also Decision Ed, which is our data warehouse. And the usage month to month, they look at that over the year, that usage has increased significantly month to month this year over last year. So again, to summarize, this would be evidence we feel indicates that the actions of this goal are indeed improving our process.
Okay, so looking ahead to our next steps around these three focus areas, we plan to expand goal setting to include aligned goals at all levels. And we also plan to further the detailed focus of our improvement to specific groups of students. As far as student-focused coaching, we plan to continue to build capacity and strengthen our channels for providing coaching supports to all, and we continue to monitor student growth data resulting from teachers engaging in those coaching cycles. For our data system, we will continue to study and implement new data options to increase the effectiveness of our improvement efforts, as well as to monitor all domains of readiness through that data, including academic, career, and social emotional.
So as we talk about this as a strategy team doing the work within Goal 3 of continuous improvement, we wanted to make sure to highlight two schools that really exemplify and provide some anecdotal evidence of how this work is occurring with the students, so basically the people on the ground who are doing that work. The first school we'd like to spotlight is Humphrey Middle School, related to their student-focused coaching implementation. We have noted on this slide here that they have not only seen an increase in learning outcomes as a result of student-focused coaching, but we've had a gain of over 20% when we asked their staff. We asked this of all buildings, and their gain was significant last year to this year compared to how they felt the value of the coaching and the feedback they are receiving as educators. So not only is that a huge celebration for us, but we wanted to introduce Assistant Principal Barbie Chisholm and a staff member who can actually give you, from their point of view, exactly how this has evolved at their building and the benefits that it has.
So thank you for the opportunity to share the work that we've been doing around student-focused coaching. At Humphrey, our teachers have really truly embraced the coaching mindset, demonstrating an openness to the process and a willingness to use the feedback to improve their impact on students. The informal coaching provides an opportunity for us as administrators to give immediate feedback to teachers around our core action plan strategies. New this year, we've also been doing in-and-out coaching partnered with the instructional specialists from our curriculum department to help make sure that that there's alignment in our feedback. Now, new with our TLC, we also have the ability to deepen the impact of our coaching processes through the formal coaching cycles centered around student outcomes. And I brought Teresa Jakubowski here, a language arts teacher.
Oh, excuse me, don't move. TLC, somebody out there.
Sorry, teaching and learning coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Teresa Jakubowski, who's been through the coaching process in a lot of different ways, she can speak a little bit from her experiences.
So from the teacher point of view, it's been a really valuable feedback that we receive instantly, which has really helped with student engagement and student growth academically in the classroom. For example, once they come into the classroom and I get that immediate feedback and then we process the information. And for one of the activities, my students were working in groups and they were pulling out a theme and they were talking about evidence from the theme. And then when I went into the hall and we had the coaching conversation and they were talking about maybe you want to have some sentence starters in the center of your group to further the conversation that the students are having, which was an excellent idea that then I could take back to my classroom to really deepen the conversation that the students were having. So I have seen tremendous growth with the students, both with their engagement and the academics in the classroom. So thank you.
I'm excited to spotlight Oakview Elementary tonight and their work to implement continuous improvement systems. Before I invite them up to share their story, I'd like to highlight some data from their Panorama teacher and staff survey around continuous improvement. 91% of the Oakview staff report that they are fully engaged in their school's continuous improvement efforts. 96% of Oakview staff report that their team engages in PLC work to implement continuous improvement efforts. 100% of Oakview staff report that they support their learners in tracking the progress and setting goals, and 100% of Oakview staff share a strong sense of responsibility for student development, school improvement, and professional growth.
Excuse me again, acronyms.
What did I say?
Yeah.
Oh,
You said
professional learning
PLC.
community. Professional learning community is a PLC.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'd like to invite Mr. Bob Pinsiak and a few members from the Oakview team to share their continuous improvement story with you.
Thank you, Jill. So I have a few members of Oakview's Building Impact team, and I'd like to introduce them. They are Becky Aber, Jenna MC, Sue Nozel, and Jen Azure. So as Jill mentioned, Oakview is in the third year of a 3-year continuous improvement goal. As a leadership team, we developed an overall goal in math, implement specific strategies to improve our practice, monitor our progress with those strategies, and then frequently update progress towards goals and targets. Each of these members take the strategies and present them to their teams for implementation with professional learning communities. This has occurred because we used a shared leadership model throughout the entire building.
All of our meetings at Oakview begin with an opportunity for us to celebrate our students and their achievements. We begin by highlighting the academic successes emotional and social growth, and any personal success that they have as well. We review our norms at every meeting and discuss targets so that we all know where we need to remain focused. And during our meetings, whether it's the BIT meeting, the Building Impact Team meeting, or whether it's in our professional learning communities, we do spend some time taking an active role in helping encourage each other so that we can reflect upon our discussion but still maintain a focus on the goals set. We close each of our meetings with an action plan commitment for what we will be doing between our next meeting in order to meet the goals that we have set for ourselves in the Oakview Smart Tree. Members of our Building Impact Team represent the voice of Oakview. Our members include coaches, interventionists, cross-cat program, reading recovery, learning environment coordinator, and our grade level team.
At Oakview, we regularly collect student and teacher voice to help inform our decisions. Students, staff, and families complete panorama surveys that allow us all to share feelings and opinions on the school. We also use feedback forms in every meeting we have. During our faculty meetings, early release meetings, and math progress monitoring meetings, staff is asked their immediate feedback about the meetings we just had. The staff feedback that is collected is then read and implemented in the very next meeting. Our school administrators use staff voice when determining effective ways to spend the Title I budget. As a staff, we appreciate knowing our voice matters and is used to inform decisions at Oakview.
As we continue working on our greatest area of need, which is math, we dig deeper into the data that drives instruction. At our progress monitoring meetings, as we look over the pre-test and post-tests for each Eureka module and identify students that may be in need of Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions, we set goals based on exit ticket data and create an action plan to service the students who are not performing at the set targets. The action plans clearly state what grade level teams will do to help our students who fall into this category. These services include the use of differentiated instruction by classroom teachers, interventionists, as well as teaching and learning coaches.
Oakview's action plans lend themselves directly to student-centered coaching as part of the continuous improvement process. Teaching and learning coaches are able to engage teachers in work that supports the understanding and the use of both academic data and social-emotional data. Everything we do is centered around our students and our impact on them. We work alongside teachers to analyze data, identify needs, implement new teaching practices, monitor our progress, and make instructional decisions. Coaching has been broken up into 4 rounds that occur throughout the year. At Oakview, we've experienced 8 successful coaching cycles during round 1, and we're wrapping up with 5 more cycles right now for round 2. As coaches, we've been highly trained to support our teachers in the trenches. Most recently, we've worked with Keith Young and Diane Sweeney. Their strategies, structures, and tools have helped coaches refine our practices to fit seamlessly into the continuous improvement process.
So thank you to Humphrey and Oakview for attending this evening and being able to share your stories. In conclusion, essentially it will be our focus moving forward, continuing to grow the continuous improvement process so that goals are being set throughout the organization, using staff voices and student learning outcomes to monitor how much impact we are having and how successful we are becoming with the work, and educators being supported by a student-focused coaching model designed to increase student learning. We appreciate the support of the Board of Education and all of the staff who are engaged in this work. So thank you very much for allowing us to be able to do this work in Goal 3 of continuous improvement.
Okay, thank you, and thank you to the school teams, Oakview and Humphrey. Not only are you doing the work, the hard work, you're taking your time out this evening to come and share your experience with us, and we appreciate your commitment. And you need to head home and get some rest. So thank you. That brings me to information report 14.7, and this is two policies, 7190 and 7270, that are presented for information this evening. 7190 is student behavior. This is previously student discipline. And then 7270 is administering medicines to students. These policies are being presented to review, for review to ensure they're in alignment with Public Act 101-0370, which expands Ashley's Law related to the use and administration of medical cannabis for students in schools. The legislation requires schools to update their policies regarding the use of medical cannabis in schools. Both policies have been updated to reflect changes necessary to be in alignment with the current legislation. And between now and the next board meeting, we're happy to have any questions or discussion regarding these policies and bring them back for approval at the January board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kinder. Legal Services, any report?
No report.
AFT, any report? Valley View Council, any report? Valley View Office Personnel Council, any report? Thank you. Any old business from the board? Any new business from the board?
I would like to wish the staff, teachers, administrators, a wonderful holiday season where they hopefully can relax and enjoy their families.
Any questions from the public on the actions that have been taken tonight? Any announcements from the board?
Yes. I would like to too wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. And then I would also like us to take into consideration what the young people said about the AP and the stress that it had. The young lady that was not here, Simrad, she was one of the liaisons that Sally and I got to interview, and she was just almost in tears that just how stressful that this time is. So I don't want, like they came with us, to reconsider this process. I don't have an answer. We only know God does. But to really look at the stress that is presented on these, and she was just even considering, she was not just only talking about herself, who was an AP student, but she was very concerned about those other students that we all should be about, those CDs and F students. And so I really want us to take, as we're talking about holidays and rest, and just to think of the stress that are put on these young people when we want them to achieve. And it's really, I see her face as I sit here, and I can almost, and Dr. Pescavage was in there, and was our assistant principal was in there, and Sally, to really, it's a serious matter. I mean, just to the point of the stress that she even mentioned the word suicide and how stressful these AP and these finals are. So I want us to not to go. I do want us to rest, but I don't want us to rest and thinking about the stress that I or you may be a part of to these young people.
I also would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Any announcements from the administration?
No announcements.
Any announcements from the public? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry, Member Zach, I did want to bring to your attention that there is a gift in front of your diocese, each of you, for a token of our appreciation for all the work that you've done for Valley View and in supporting this administration, our teachers and staff.
Thank you. We have closed sessions?
We don't have closed session.
We don't have closed session.
We got to return back.
We have to go back into number one into closed session tonight. Need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
So moved. For item number one, to discuss employment. So moved in a second? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. There will be no formal action after our closed session. Feel free to go home.
All right, I gotta go to the bathroom first.